Hello, hello, hello. Hey, first off, thank you everybody for coming to the unofficial Summer of Valiant panel at San Diego Comic-Con 2012. Very, very excited. I'm Brian Wells. I'm on ValiantFans.com. So we hosted a panel in 2005, 6, and 7. The same type of structure. This time, the only difference is we have monthly books out. So that is a huge, huge thing for us Valiant fans. And we do have some guests, and we want them to obviously come up. Joshua, please.
Now?
Now?
All right.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay.
Mark Moretti's daughter is here.
As she now turns to bright red. No, hey, Mark Moretti is in the back. He was one of the very, very, very good Valiant creators from during those VH1 days. So very, very good stuff. And I'm very happy to have Mark here. So thank you, Mark. Just spectating, as he says. So first off, I just want everybody to introduce themselves and obviously what you do.
My name is Joshua Dysart and I write Harbinger.
Venditti, I write X-O Manowar.
Warren Simons, I'm the executive editor.
I'm Fred Pierce. I don't do anything. I'm the publisher.
Yeah.
Adam.
I'm Adam Freeman. I'm the sales manager.
All right. It's like this. Us Valiant fans are very passionate about everybody involved, so we want everybody to be accounted for.
Let's not forget Hunter back there.
And Hunter's also back there.
Marketing guru. So if you hear about it, it's because of him. If you don't hear about it, yell at him.
Okay, so first thing I wanted to do was kind of talk about what's going on with the books now. Harbinger 2 just came out this week. Outstanding, as did Bloodshot 1. And X-O 3 comes out on Wednesday. So I just want to kind of get an idea. A lot of people have read Harbinger 2 yet, so I don't want to spoil anything because it just came out on Wednesday. But if you do get it, and you're getting both Bloodshot 1 and Harbinger 2, read Bloodshot 1 first, and that's of course from Sean. Sean gave me that.
That's from Rob Venditti.
Okay.
Venditti.
Yeah.
It's just a little thing in there that kind of coordinate with each other. So I'm not going to give it away, but it's just something if you read it, you'll get it. Okay. So I just wanted to talk about kind of what's going on with the titles after the Summer of Valiant. So next month, obviously, Archer Armstrong 1 come out, and what's kind of in the plans for after that. And I guess, Warren, you'd be the one to answer that. We know that Ninjak's coming out in X-O 5.
Yes.
And I know you can't give out too many details past that, but just kind of an idea of what's your grand scheme of things for what's right after.
The grand scheme of things for what's right after. Well, that's an interesting question.
Just make it up.
Make it up as we go.
Nothing he says will be true.
Well, Rob will be introducing Ninjak in X-O number 5, which goes on sale in May, June, July, August, September. Which goes on sale in September. That will be also the first new arc in the Valiant Universe. That'll be the first time we have a second arc, and we just got some pages in, and they look pretty badass. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about that without spoiling too much?
Yeah, sure.
We were at we were at the Charlotte Con. Was it Charlotte?
Yeah, Heroes Con.
Heroes Con. And Rob came up with this idea for.
Oh no, that was in Chicago.
That was in Chicago. Sorry. And Rob,
I have so many great ideas. You can't keep that.
It's just one after the other after the other. You know, it's like a flood. I'm trying to hold it back. But we were talking about. He came up with this idea, and he goes, "Hey, listen to this bit for Ninja." He didn't say it like 20s gangster like that, but he said, "Listen to this idea." Listen to this idea. It was. And you want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, I thought that if you, in a world where you had a character like X-O who shows up out of nowhere with this super advanced piece of weaponry that people on Earth are not going to know is alien in design, and in that same world you also have a character who considers himself to be the world's foremost weapons specialist. It seems like I'm not into connecting characters and storylines and having them team up in ways that feel contrived, which I think is something that happens a lot in comics, But to me, it would seem contrived to not have these characters meet because of X-O having this highly advanced piece of weaponry. Ninjak would be the guy first and foremost who would want to go find out what that weapon was all about, So that's kind of where the idea came from. I don't know how much I can say without going into spoilers, but issue 5, as Warren was saying, Lee's turned in some really great pages. I've seen the sequence where Ninjak gets introduced for the first time. It looks great, and there's also something I'm pretty excited about in issue 5 that I think Warren liked when he read as well. Where I don't know what will become of it, but there's a certain sequence in a fight scene where I would like for it to be kind of like X-O's signature move, like Dusty Rhodes had the $1 million elbow. This will be like X-O's thing, I mean, we'll see what the future holds for that, but I think it came out great the way Lee drew it. It's going to be a pretty cool moment, so hopefully fans will like that.
Yeah, we're kind of circling around the edges because we don't want to give anything away too much, but what we'll see is the Vine and their role and how they interact with Eric and all of these different elements will be key to how Ninjak is introduced, and it's really kind of fascinating without giving too much of it away. And we also are going to be having our second arc of Harbinger coming up. Harbinger, the first arc will be 5 issues. And at the close of the first arc, I can't tell you what happens, but it will be, I'm going to talk about where we're going a little bit maybe.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about the future of Harbinger because one of the things that has been our struggle is to embrace a lot of the creative decisions that were done in the first book, but to pace it in such a way that you guys who are familiar with those decisions are still really interested to see how it unfolds, and still have it be really fresh for a new audience too. What that means is that I don't want to tell you too much about how we're going to unveil stuff, but I can say that a lot of the relationships that are being established right now are going to come to a head in 5, and that should be pretty spectacular how that happens. And from that point on, Peter really has no choice but to start building his team. And once Peter starts to build his team, then we're going to get rolling. So what you're going to see coming up after issue 5 is the first appearances of Faith and Torque and Flamingo, and then it's going to get really interesting. So that's what we're looking forward to, and it was important for me, and I hope it's successful to really spend some time on the Harada-Peter relationship first, because this has got to be the fuel in the engine for this book for a long time. So hopefully it's been okay that we've waited so long to get to these beloved characters. I'm dying to get to them. I'm dying for you guys to see what we're going to do with Torque. But I think it's going to be with the wait, and I think this first arc is going to end in a spectacular fashion. So, and that's really all I'm willing to say at this stage. That's cool.
And then we also have Bloodshot, which went on sale, I believe, yesterday? Yesterday.
Wednesday.
Bloodshot's on sale. If you guys have checked it out yet, but I think it's pretty. It's a pretty good book. Dwayne Straczynski, the writer, is walking around here somewhere. Dwayne's a really brilliant crime novelist. He wrote Needleman. He wrote a bunch of different comic books as well. He actually took over Iron Fist from me when I was working on that Marvel. He wrote a World by Night series. He also wrote Cable and a bunch of other things. He's writing Birds of Prey now. The art there is by Arturo Lozzi and Manuel Garcia. And it's he's sort of a one-man walking WikiLeaks, and everything that happens in that first issue is going to be pretty critical to the course of the Valiant Universe for the next year or so. Josh, Rob, and Dwayne and I had dinner a couple nights ago, and we were talking about just some stuff, some of the larger architecture of the book. Is the building collapsing.
That's actually, sorry.
It's actually Bloodshot sound effects. No, it's Bloodshot sound effects, it's not Taco Bell.
And then Archer Armstrong goes on sale next month, and that's by Freeman and we'll begin to see a little bit more of the characters from the Valiant Universe introduced in those titles. So it's a pretty exciting time. You know, we have this sport coming out. And then I can't tell you what's coming next, but I can promise that it's absolutely gigantic. And the pages that are going in are just monsters. It's just an absolute feast. So it's pretty exciting stuff.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you. The one piece that I wanted to ask you about, Warren, too, was in the free comic book day that you guys gave out in May, you had a little teaser of the Eternal Warrior. Obviously, we know he's going to be making an appearance in Archer Armstrong, and did make an appearance in X-O, if you can find him. Is there anything more that you can enlighten about that, or not? Not really, not at this point.
Not at this point. You know, we're sort of seeding his role throughout the Valiant Universe in a couple of different titles. He has a very brief appearance in Archer Armstrong, but it's pretty badass. And it's kind of key to where the book goes from there. You know, an amazing costume design for No Word by Freeman and Joshua Dysart. Books now really confident at. So you know, more to come. I don't want to spoil anything too much.
Okay. One thing I wanted to, Joshua, you had mentioned the relationship between Peter and Harda, and as Robert is doing with X-O, taking his time with the story, unlike the original title character, as he was already in costume by panel 5 or whatever. And I love the pacing that the books are taking, and I think as Valiant fans, we love the backstory as much as we like the front story. So the dynamic between both characters, and with him and as his image is the dog, I think it's amazing, and the contrast between both of them and the wavelength that they're both on is just Harbinger 2, if you haven't read it yet, is amazing. So find it at the show. It is here, so go get it and read it. But it's just outstanding. I love what you're doing with the book.
Thank you so much.
And then same thing with Robert. I can't wait for issue 3 to come out this Wednesday. So
it's great. I didn't realize it wasn't out yet. I've already read it. So it's awesome. I guess I do.
Awesome. One thing I wanted to do, we are going to have a question and answer session, obviously, because I know you guys are going to have questions, and these are the guys that you obviously want to have answer those questions. So one thing I wanted to do was, I don't know who we want to do that, kind of announcements that you guys might have that you guys want to make. I don't know if you want to do that with Dinesh, or as they're both pointing to other people.
Just so everyone knows, some other very important people have walked in the room. The most important person who walked in the room is Gabriel Soro. He's been responsible for printing every Valiant book ever. VH1 books, all of them. He made sure that all of the books printed perfectly and well, and that was all Gabe. Dinesh is in the room. Jason is in the room. Peter is in the room, and Gavin is in the room as well. And everyone is fair game for your questions. They don't have to answer them.
You know what? Why don't we go ahead and start that? And then whenever you guys want to come in and make any kind of announcement or gesture, that's fine. Let us know. So yeah, absolutely.
Kind of talked with you about this briefly when I met you a month ago, but I don't know, maybe you guys can shed some light on this. But what's going on with the Dark Horse properties that were recently acquired that were terrible? Like the Magnus stuff, all that stuff. And then what about? Please tell me to
The Dark Horse properties are actually owned by Classic Media. Dark Horse has had those licenses for a very long time. we don't really know the plans that Mike Richardson of Dark Horse has for them. He loves those properties, and if he decides he wants to give them another shot, he will give them another shot. But the Valiant Universe, the way it is, stands beautifully without them. We're very happy. We'd be very happy if we had them, but we don't have them. And we believe that you will be just as happy with the Valiant Universe as it stands today, with or without those characters.
Yeah, I think we've got a very deep bench. We've got Shadow Man, we've got Eternal Warrior, we have Rod. We have a whole ton of second.
You mean Nightman?
What'd you say?
You said Shadow Man.
Shadow Man.
Valiant property? Or?
Oh,
I thought he was.
I think that's no. It's not
You think it was Ultra?
Yeah.
Right. Robert's actually probably going to be writing Nightman for us. We're all very excited about that.
Awesome. Yeah.
But so we feel like we have a very deep bench, and I'm sure I speak for everyone in the room where we think those are great characters. Turok Magus and Solar, they're great characters. We just feel like the strength of the Valiant Universe is the universe itself, and we don't miss them. We have a lot coming down the pipeline soon. They're all brilliant characters, but we don't feel, as Fred said, that we're missing anything.
On a similar note, what about reprinted stuff? Like those hardcovers that exist right now, they're great, just half the books, but pretty low quality scans. Are you guys are there any plans to package something really nice looking of the classic stuff?
Funny that you say that. In October, we are planning on relaunching that plan. The next hardcover book that you see will be Bloodshot. We will. Yes, it will be the old. It will be the classic product, made by the former geniuses of Valiant, who remain geniuses but are sitting in the back of the room right now. And it will be a slightly different package than you saw, where we actually have been looking at a lot of how a lot of the other companies package their books and how they present it, and we believe we're going to be presenting it in a way that will be more palatable to you. And you let me know if you don't like it. We'll change it just to a bite. You will be the taste test.
Solid.
That's even more.
Yes, right here.
So this is sort of a question. It's just on your theory of the universe. Are you going to try to build up the individual books before you launch into a giant line-wide crossover? I see a lot of publishers go too fast to the crossover.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that I've worked really closely with all the guys, Rob and Joshua, is just to make sure that we're getting the characters back on the map in the incarnation that we all know and love. The key concepts that drove those characters back in the day. There's a reason why I love them so much, and I don't just want to run into a gigantic crossover and kind of lose sight of what made these characters so great in the first place. So, we've talked about all different kinds of options, and there's like with Ninjak and X-O. Part of the strength of the universe is that it is a shared universe.
That's okay, because that makes sense. I'm talking about a line-wide crossover where
like
you
a Unity type
like
thing
a Unity where it's like 1, 2, 3, like 12 parts, gigantic mega crossover thing. If you wait at least a year, if not more, before you do that.
I don't want to tip our hat to anything. I think it's a good idea to wait a little while before we do that. I'll say that. But by the same token, I think that content drives the story. I never want to be in a position where, I'm forcing someone to tie a book into a larger event because it will bump sales. For me, it's something that's kind of boring. I don't really have a tremendous interest in that right now. But by the same token, one of the strengths of the shared universe is that, the characters get to interact with each other. And there is a crossover like Unity, which everyone, in the room probably loves and, thinks real fondly of. So, I want to leverage strengths of the properties off of each other without sort of, creating an environment where the books are crossing over for the sake of crossing over.
And Warren has also said that the reader really needs to fall in love with those titles first before they really even care about the crossover. I mean, that's just some of the things that Warren says, in the room. So we believe that you'll see the characters well established, and when there actually is a crossover, or the two titles do interact, you'll feel that, that made sense. There was a reason for that.
Yeah, to a certain extent, it's a little bit like X-O. Like, Rob and I talked for a while about, how we're going to start the series. Whether Eric was going to appear in armor in the first issue. But, if you get a sense of who this character is before he dons the armor, it's more compelling. It's like meeting Neo before he's punching Agent Smith in the face, or, you could open Star Wars with Luke Skywalker running around the bridge, killing stormtroopers, but when you meet him as a farm boy, it's more compelling. So individually, I think that works for the books. By the same token, on a macro level, I want to sort of build the tapestry of the universe so that we're introducing these properties and giving people a chance to know and fall in love with them before they cross over.
You know, I think that the choice they made to put them in the armor at the end of the second issue speaks volumes to how the whole company plans on handling the shared universe also. Because that's a very courageous act. Coming from monthly comics and doing a #1 is one of the biggest, most difficult things. I've had an editor tell me you should work harder on #1 than any book you work on in your run, and you should hate it the most when your whole run is done. And I think the courage that they had to wait for that reveal, to push it to 24 pages or however many pages before that happened, really shows how much patience and care that's going to go into all these books in the whole universe. Because that's not something I think you would have, I got to be honest, I don't think you would have seen DC or Marvel wait 2 issues to do that. I don't think they would have cared. And I think the editor would have gotten a lot of pressure from upstairs to get him in that armor. And I think the book is way better for it. And I think one of the very first emails I wrote to Robert was about how courageous and successful that decision was.
And just to be clear, I didn't tell you these guys they should hate issue 1. I said they should love every page.
It's very hard to turn the page because I can't see that page once it's turned. It's really bad.
Yes, Ross.
Mine's Ross from Baltimore. My question is actually for Peter. I just want to know what or who got you into Valiant, what attracted you to Valiant, and what are your long-term goals for Valiant?
Well, some of you may know that I was the Chief Executive Officer of Marvel for 4 years, coming out of bankruptcy, and I was Vice Chairman for 6 years when we sold it to Freeman. And my son Gavin and I are our partners in the business. We have invested in a number of different businesses, but they were all consumer products, movie and entertainment. And the key to Marvel's success, and there are many keys, and this is something very important that most people don't realize, is that the great treasure in intellectual property, in characters and brands, is to own and control your characters. Most people in the entertainment business don't actually have that ability to do. But we had, at Marvel, we had 7,000 characters that we owned and controlled. We could make any deal we did. We could do whatever we wanted with motion pictures, with comic books and so on, and other media forms as well, and consumer products. So when we first met, Jason and Dinesh really are the guys who got Valiant and its properties out of bankruptcy. The thing that impressed us was they got it out of bankruptcy. The characters completely unencumbered, meaning no one else controlled the character and what they can do between them. And they spent 2 or 3 years and millions of dollars to do that. And so Gavin and I did whenever you would make an investment, you do something called due diligence, as you all know. And the due diligence here was mostly legal. Does the company really actually own and control the characters? And we were satisfied after some months and a fair amount of money that was truly the case. So we got very, very excited. Because for me, we can do a lot of the same things that I did at Marvel. The main difference between when I started Marvel in 1999 and today is the rise, of course, of the digital environment. That really didn't exist in 1999. So Marvel really didn't get into anything online until 2005, 2006, 2007. Because it wasn't important. Today, of course, it's very important. Everything that we do both in business, but also as individuals, personally, as consumers. So that's the major difference. But essentially, our strategy is still very much similar. We appreciate the comic book business as our holy grail. Comic book business is the most profitable print publishing business in the world. And there's a very good reason for that. And the quality of books today, both in writing and illustrating versus 20 years ago, 30 years ago, it's a mega improvement. Absolutely incredible. And so we want to honor the comic book world and the community by what we do. We were talking a little bit about waiting on the panels you know, to reveal the suit on X-O. We actually waited for a long time as a company on introducing the comic book. We wanted to wait till great talent was available. We did not want to rush our votes. And I think so far that has paid off. It would have been very easy, even a year before we actually started reintroducing. A year ago, we could have put out books. We just think we would have been in big trouble. So a lot of parallels with Marvel, but certainly some differences. I'm personally extremely excited to be involved with Valiant and back involved with
So I really like the Valiant live event you did on Facebook, and I was wondering, I know a lot of the fans love to hear the authors talk about their attachment to the work and where they're going with it. So I was just wondering, in the future, can we expect to see more uses of new media like that to kind of spread the word and gather the community together?
Yeah, I think so. You know, both Hunter and Gavin have been big proponents of using streaming media and different video to engage with the fans and to kind of provide opportunities and stuff like that. So, yeah, I definitely think so.
And not everybody can come to a convention, so it's as close as we can get to. You can ask questions directly. I mean, the media that was used was wonderful, and it was really, it was really leading edge media, for our time.
Yeah.
So if you want to actually have an interview and actually ask, Laura a question or Warren a question or Josh a question now, you can. So yes, we plan on doing a lot more of that.
Cool. Yeah, it was great.
Newly created characters. I think I saw something online of a new baby.
Darkon is introduced in issue 2. Harbinger. Yeah.
So we're going to continually see new characters. Is there ever going to be a whole title for a brand new character? Baby's not going to have a title.
Well, the baby was actually, when you read the issue, the baby was, Harada acquired possession of that child 10 years ago, so he's conceivably a 10-year-old boy now. Not conceivably, he actually is. So next time you see him, he'll be a 10-year-old boy.
Okay.
10-year-old boy can have his own title.
Sure.
Especially when you can see what he can do.
Archie?
Yeah, Archie. Yeah, it's going to be just like Archie, actually. Yeah.
Pete and Darkon and Archie style.
I mean, I'm totally talking out of turn here. I love creating new science, and I love the idea of building the mythology of the world, both the past and the present and the future, and whatever I can convince them to do, I'm going to try to convince them to do.
Yeah, I can attest to that. But yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, we have a pretty deep bench, and
Sure.
the board, we have at least 5, 6 other, probably 8 A-list characters. So, we're working to get those guys up and running. But by the same token, yeah, we love new characters. And listen, it's something as Fred likes to say a lot. It comes out of the writing. Darkpan came because Josh put down the script and Rob has put down. We're introducing a bunch of new characters coming up as well. So we'll continue to populate and build new characters throughout the universe.
Find baby number 1.
Find baby number 1.
Find baby number 1 and Darkpan actually going on road.
It's a romantic comedy.
You used the term Scion, which was used in Harbinger 1.
Yeah.
Or is that a departure from referring to them as Harbingers? Or is that a Harada thing?
I'm approaching it in my book as Harbinger is the name. Harbinger is a word that is used for a lot of things in my book, not the least of which is the actual meaning of Harbinger. Something's coming.
Yeah.
And a whole population, a very, very small, very select population, represent the beginning of this thing that's coming. Apart from that, Harbinger is the name of the foundation, the secret foundation that's being run by Harada, which you all know about from your past Valiant experience. And Harada refers to himself, and also the Bleeding Monk, which is the predominant precog in our world, also refers to Harada as the Harbinger. However, this could be hubris on Harada's part, the notion that he is the end-all be-all. And it might be part of what blinds him, and it might be part of what makes him make some very dangerous decisions, despite him being a brilliant person. So the word Harbinger is used for a lot of things, but the most technical aspect of it is that's the name of the foundation. They refer to themselves as Harbingers if they've gone through the foundation program. They will also be referred to as egg breakers once they've gone through that program. But no, out in the general world, and Harada's the one who coined the term, for people who have, you're also going to find out soon that there's an activation process that virtually everyone has to go through. This is something else that makes Peter a very special person, is that Peter was born activated. So anyone who has the potential to be activated is a potential psiot. Harbinger is something exclusive to the organization. And not every potential psiot gets embraced by the organization. Most of them are useless.
So you're talking about almost like a pop, like it's something that is in them but it hasn't been activated in terms of just...
Precisely. So the way we're running it, we talk about this a little bit in Harbinger 1. Oh, it's happening? I'm done.
You're on a roll.
Very quickly, the way we're...
Just don't give them all of it. They should still buy it.
So there's three kinds of human beings in the world. I'm going to do this really quickly. There's three kinds of human beings in the world. Most of us have no real ability to ever affect.
Speakers.
I'm sorry. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Never affect any sort of. Most of us are normative. The second group are people who can potentially be activated and potentially be psiots. And then most of these people, 99% of them are going to go through their lives never activated, and they're going to be people who are exceptional at poker or like can manipulate you in a relationship or something. You know, they just have this ability to do well in life.
I'd like to do it, but I won the Valiant Fans poker tournament.
Potential psiots.
And
that's what not get activated.
That will end
the third kind are the extremely rare that we see appear once in a while in history, and those are the people that are born activated, and that's a very, very, very rare.
All right, let me right back there.
Yeah, a couple of questions. First off, I'm new kind of stuff. I mean, I obviously know it's always there, but I've kind of thought about like exploring the older stuff that I just never kind of got around to it. How are the, because you're part of the, probably the biggest old Valiant website thing, right?
Correct.
How are the original Valiant fans, like what's been the response to that? And my second question is, what would be a good size line for, like, if everything goes well, about how many different comics will you be publishing a month? I think there's been a bit, tend to be if it's successful, then you just kind of overwhelm. Like, I just think that, like, DC has 52 comics a month.
Yeah, I mean, I can almost answer that. I don't think that Valiant's taking that approach at all. So,
I'm just saying it's in the future.
For the VH1 stuff, the early stuff, jump in both feet, man. I mean, there's some really good stuff in there. And then there's some really mediocre stuff that you can find, and it's relatively inexpensive.
Well, how are the fans that are on your like forums and stuff? How do they new stuff?
How are we responding to the new stuff? Well, there's a lot of us here from the forums here, and we absolutely love it. So,
listen to the podcast.
Yeah, there we go. There is a podcast called Only the Valiant, and it's a little plug there. No, I think overwhelmingly it's positive. I mean, you're of course not going to please everybody all the time, but as somebody who's waited 15 years since these characters have really been viable in print, it's a huge thing for us. So as fans, we've been waiting a long time. So what's great is we've waited a long time, but we're getting quality, and we're not getting rushed books like Peter was saying. I mean, yeah, they could have come out with books a year ago and not had these guys writing them, and we may have a different opinion of that. So no, I think they're in the right hands. The books are in the right hands.
The current plan. The current plan was for the launch. We're trying to figure out what's a good number for a launch. You don't want so many that there's not time to absorb it. You don't want so many that the retailers don't really have time to figure out how many to buy. And you don't, but you can't have too few that we can't be taken seriously in the marketplace.
Right.
So for the beginning part of the launch, and it's a huge, and it's a lot of work, we decided to launch with 4 books, 1 a month, so that the retailers understand that as much as the fan loves the book, the retailers are taking a chance on a book that they haven't bought in 15 years.
Right.
So they had to find extra money in their budget, so we decided we're clearly going to launch with 1 or 2 books the first month. We decided to launch with 1 book for the first month. Then what we did was we said, all right, let's launch with a book a month. Everyone really has time to absorb the Valiant Universe, and the reader has time to absorb the Valiant Universe. You know, we spoke to a lot of retailers. A lot of what we came up with was speaking to retailers. You know, Adam spoke to retailers, you know, Hunter spoke to retailers, I spoke to retailers. We all spoke to retailers. What makes sense? So a retailer had ordered X-O, you know, #1 before he had any idea of what he would sell, and they actually took a very nice position with us, which was very happy. So then we decided to go to 4 books. They ordered Harbinger 1 and X-O #2 before they still had sold any books. They were still ordering the books. It's the nature of the cycle. So we decided that we would grow slowly so that the retailers would have a chance to take a chance in a way that would really make it significant. And the beauty was we also had thousands of people going into the stores and saying, I'm a Valiant fan, I love this stuff, don't miss the vote. And what we also found was the retailers today are of an age where a lot of them were huge Valiant fans. I think you'll find that between 30 and 40% of the retailers who are powerful in the industry now were Valiant fans at the time. And now, after this, we're going to grow the universe in a slow manner. Before the end of the year, you will be seeing another launch.
It's crazy.
And then by April, we believe you'll see another launch. And then the plan really is right now, and a lot of it depends on what happens, a lot of it depends on story. We're planning on doing not more than 4 more books a year, but I don't know if there's an upper limit. So, you know, you'll have 6 books at the end of the year of our first year of publishing. You'll have 10 books at the end of our second year of publishing. You'll have 14 books at the end of our third year of publishing. And I don't think that scares anybody in the room.
No. For me, it's like 16 books a month seems like a really nice thing, like 4 a week basically, not counting like when you have 5 weeks and 5 Wednesdays a month.
So for the first 3 years, you'll be very happy. For the first 3.5 years, you'll be very happy. Then afterwards, we'll talk. Okay? Because our real plan is to be a significant player in the industry. We believe the intellectual property that we have. We believe all the characters we have. You know, people love it. Not everybody loves X-O as much as they love Harbinger. We don't love all of our children the same. You know, though we all said we do love our children the same. But we'll see what happens. A lot of it depends on the reception from the fans once they're out. So for 3.5 years, you'll be happy. I can sit here and look at that, right?
All right. Let's go, Christian.
Harbinger. Peter, he's kind of a rapist, isn't he?
I've been told to respond to this in a specific way. I've practiced, but I don't remember what it is.
First of all, you know, I did not know how to respond to this situation. But that said, we'll see what unfolds in these series. I'm serious. I want it to be what's in the books. Let's see what happens in the books. Let's see what we show. Let's see what we don't show.
Do you feel like when people take the fifth, that always means they're using? I think that Peter's. This is a redemption. This is a redemption arc. That's what I'll say. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. I don't want to get into trouble with my own. I'm sorry?
He's on the road to.
Yes, he's not redeemed yet. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I only know what you know about Harbinger. I've only read the same issues everybody else has, 1 and 2. You know, I don't know anything really beyond that. But I would say that, from my perspective, reading it, the fact that Josh has written a book that you would even ask that question is just an extremely gutsy thing to do. You know, and I think it. I was telling him this last night. You know, I have so much appreciation for the type of story he's writing and the redemption aspect of it, and can we somehow, through the wrongs we do wrong, what we all do wrong, but what do we do when we carry that guilt? What kind of people do we become, and those kind of things. And so, I mean, I read Harbinger, and I called Warren when I read Harbinger 1, and I was like, man, this is the kind of book I wish I could write. You know, not like I want his job, but I wish I had the talent to write that book. You know what I'm trying to say? So, I think he was overlapped.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with writing. Just like,
it's an intense creative decision. I think that.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, he's writing a book that's making you ask questions, right? Like,
Yeah.
how many comics do you read that make you ask questions that don't just tell you what you're supposed to think, or really just explicitly state it for you, right? He's writing a book that's making people ask questions, and I think that's what media in general needs.
And I go back to the original series of all of
That's
them.
right.
Go back to all of the Valiant original series. It's always cutting edge. It's always asking today's questions. We weren't asking questions. You know what? We want to be just like we want to be the company of 20 years from now. We want to be the company asking today's questions. What are today's questions? And you're asking today's questions. And that's really what Valiant has always been about. That's one of the reasons why people are here sitting in this room today.
it's a lot like Kobe Bryant.
I think that well, Kobe Bryant wasn't like an 18-year-old kid on the run doing it. I think that not that that's an excuse. I think that Peter is a very screwed up kid, man, and he has made some really bad decisions, and the decision we're discussing is probably his worst. And he's going to have to live with that because Chris is not going away. She's going to be a character in the book, and there's going to be people are going to have to live with their actions and the decisions they've made, and that I think is going to create a very interesting dynamic in the book in the future.
Yeah, I don't want to feel like we're dodging the question. We all joke about it. We made a great decision with that in the book now. It's doesn't, and largely what we'll see. All that I mean is that I don't want us to extrapolate about it. I'd rather see what happens in 3, 4, and 5 because I feel like we'll develop a more robust story that way, but we can explore that issue that way as opposed to talking about it now.
Yeah, because Chris is coming back, and Chris is not. Look, if we do our job right, then Peter's going to have to answer for his actions, right? I mean, otherwise we're being unethical in our storytelling, and I don't think we've yet been unethical in our storytelling. And it's going to, it's down the line a little, but I think. I'm actually very much looking forward to Peter looking Chris in the eye again. I think that's going to be a really hard issue to write, and I think it's going to be a very important issue for us.
Christian, go ahead.
I have a question. First off, I'll say a statement. I think you guys have hit a home run. So for the fans' perspective, I think for us, the old school dudes, I think you guys hit a home run every step of the way, and that's a lot to those guys and then to you guys. But my question is about the larger Valiant universe. I look at it back in the day, and there was these great characters, superpowered characters, great story too, but superpowered characters. And then on the other side, you had Toya, Dark, Spider Aliens. After Erica's gone, that's it. And there always seemed to me there was a kind of lack of, I don't want to say bad guy because Pete's the bad guy, could be the bad guy here. Toyo's giving oil to someone, he could be the good guy. So it's definitely not black and white, but do you see a better need for a balance, let's say? Because it's like, I mean, like Fred Bender was a bad guy and it was just terrible. I mean, if you use him, it'll be better. But back in the day, it was like bad TBS movie at 2 o'clock at night. So how do you balance that out? Because I mean, I don't want people in costumes flying around necessarily. But there needs to be, as much people who make the right decision with power would make the wrong too. And old Valiant, whatever we're going to call it, I don't know if we've ever decided what we're going to call it yet. Classic. Or whatever. Classic Valiant, whatever it is.
Genius 1 and Genius 2.
G-Valiant, whatever it's going to be, there wasn't unbalance. You know what I mean? And not that, I don't want necessarily be like, Dark is someone's bad, Toyo's Pete's bad guy, and Vine's the X-O bad guy. It would all cross over, but how about that balance in the whole universe?
I would say from the perspective of the stories I try to write, you can have good guys and bad guys, quote unquote, but you want everybody to be sympathetic, So if you have a bad guy, in this case, the Vine or whatever, are they really bad? I mean, from their perspective, of course they're not. You know, they're not twisting their mustache or whatever. And so, for me, a lot of the work I did on the initial pitch was on the Vine and fleshing them out as a character and making them balance within themselves, so that you have different people within that race that have different, not people, but different, you know, aliens within that race that have different motives, and some of them could be construed as bad by the reader, some of them could be construed as good, but in every way they're sympathetic, so that it's like I was saying before, you don't ever want to tell people, and from my perspective, what to think when they're reading the book. And if you have somebody who's clearly good and somebody who's clearly bad, then you're telling them what they're supposed to think. So to the extent that you can make your good guy a little bad and your bad guy a little good, and have that gray area, that's what makes for more compelling stories.
Yeah, Josh, this is something we talked about.
Yeah, I'm really, I'm super excited about writing the relationship between Toyo Pete and really blurring that line between what's bad, what's good. If I do my job, I've said this before to you guys via the podcast, but if I do my job right, that was the Only the Valiant podcast. If I do my job right,
thanks, bro.
You're gonna have, you're gonna have shifting sympathies. One thing apropos of nothing I want to say is that last night we were rapping about his plans for the Vine, and it's
wait,
awesome.
you really rapping?
We were actually rapping. Yeah, but no, we did the shit MC, yo.
But like you mentioned all these A-list characters, and a lot of them are going to be like good guys or whatever. I'm not saying everyone's good or bad, but when you look at the other side, you have the Vine, we have Toyo. At some point, we're all imagining we'll see Dark. Okay, so there's three. Let's say I'm imagining I'm supposing who.
Don't let him try. Don't let him.
Anyway, so
he's a nightmare.
Let's just say it's
right?
Yeah.
But now we have 12 A-lists on. You know what I mean? So how do you need to balance that out?
I think a character, a protagonist, in large part is defined by the antagonist. Without Dark. So it's certainly something that we're very cognizant of. One of the things, as Rob said, that we work on is, what the Divine want. As opposed to being easily disposable kind of things that our book is much. What do we come up with? And Rob came up with this idea that it's what every species wants, to propagate their species through.
Don't tell too much because it's really awesome.
So as we see in the first issue, you know what I'm saying. So we'll get more in there, and we'll see more as it goes. But we're very cognizant of that too.
But your point is well taken. The good guys are, they have much more and better good guys than bad. And in other universes, that's not necessarily.
All right, we got about time for 2 more questions before Adam comes up and makes an announcement. So let's, absolutely right here, right in the front.
Digital distribution. I'm from Australia, so it'd be much nicer to be able to download the books than go and hunt for physical copies. Is it an option?
All of our books are day and date on Comixology. So any book that we have released is available today digitally on Comixology. All of the classic books are being rolled out on Comixology. So if you go to Comixology, you'll digitally, you'll be able to see. You'll see them, and we're rolling them out. And if you see one that you don't want rolled, that hasn't been rolled out yet, send Hunter an email, and we'll see if we can put that at the top of the list.
Are there territory restrictions on any of this stuff?
Yeah, does Comixology have territories?
I don't believe so.
There are some issues.
You know what? Let me know if there is. I do not believe so.
Can I have a follow-up question? A lot of other publishers are dropping prices of previously released digital issues after a certain amount of time. Is that something you guys plan to do?
Well, you already do that.
Right, I believe after a month it goes down from the day and date price to $2.99 price. After that, I actually don't even like doing that as a publisher, but it seems to have become the industry standard. But I wouldn't imagine that we're going to drop them much lower. And I believe that the classic price is $1.99. So, and again, I don't plan on dropping the prices. I never like to encourage people to buy at a cheaper price on a regular basis. I never like to encourage people to delay buying it. You know, I believe the price we're selling it for is what I believe it's worth.
What's the goal for the classic reprints? We'll eventually see all of the entire classic stuff reprinted, and then how do you handle the classic media characters that if you're reprinting stuff and Solar or Turok are in there, can you reprint that, or do you have to blot them out, or redact it?
We haven't, okay? Any of the things that are our titles, that are clearly our titles, that aren't an issue, we're going to be putting out. You might see some of the characters, you might see some of the classic media characters in it. I don't believe you'll see very quickly our reprinting of Magnus, Solar, or Turok.
But Unity that has those characters, for instance.
That, we're discussing that amongst ourselves before we discuss it outside.
But do you have the rights to reprint the Unity trade paperback with those characters?
We're discussing that amongst ourselves.
I'm an original fan. I'm ecstatic to see that you guys went back to the original stories because it no, I guess nobody's mentioned it here, but basically died when the claim bought down. My question is for the gentleman over here. As interesting as the stories are themselves, the story of how the resurrection of the company is something I'm very curious about. And like, is that a story that you guys have told, or how did that? It's been 15 years.
I can take this one.
How did you find it?
That's right.
Find out that it was available?
Can we throw the I can take this one. I've been doing this one for a little bit, so I've actually got this one down. So there are two guys, right? They grew up in Hong Kong. They loved comics. They absolutely were passionate about comics. They're passionate about Valiant. They grew up to be successful businessmen. They grew up to be powerful in their own rights, and they got the opportunity to buy up Acclaim, buy the rights to their favorite comics from Acclaim. Then they went through 7 years of hard labor, dealing with legal people and this people you don't want to deal with. And they were able to actually bring it back and put together a team of investors and a team of really some of the greatest people in the comic book industry, not including me. And because of all of that, we're able to bring back the characters they were passionate about and bring them back. And that's the story.
There's an article at LA Weekly a couple months ago that talks about what Jason Dinesh accomplished.
Is that a birthday cake picture?
Birthday cake picture? You know what? We should always have that picture with us. Especially when we're in the room. I have to call your mother about that.
And what you're talking about is there's a picture of this man right here in the back that was looking embarrassed. Dinesh, at his 11th birthday party, has a picture. There's a picture of him at his 11th birthday party with his birthday cake, and it's not his favorite character. His mother has put the Valiant logo on his birthday cake. That's the kind of fan.
Do you guys think we should run that photo in the comments?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Right. Dinesh, can your mother for your next birthday do the new logo for us on a birthday?
Yes.
Run both.
Next panel will bring a cat.
Oh man.
Andrew, do you have a question?
I did have a question. Is it cool?
Yeah,
sure. So you guys are very well, I think, rivaling Marvel CC with your superhero indie stuff. Question for you is this: it's very much more hot topic, more so with DC than with Marvel. Is your entire lineup going to be whitewashed? And
next month,
are you planning on having any like female protagonists?
One of the Valiant characters is going to come out soon. That's gay.
Okay, well, aside from that,
which character would it be?
Okay, cool. Please don't bang the drum without this.
There are certain things that we want to do with the universe that are not there right now. So we're moving towards that across the board. And let me just say thank you guys. We really appreciate all the love we've gotten from the fans. And you guys really are, the engine that drives us. We work as hard as we work, for you guys. So, we really appreciate all the podcasts. Only the Valiant podcast.
That's right.
Thank you.
We really do appreciate it. So, I want to say that.
All right, there are a few things I want to talk about before we lose some time. There are a a few ways that you can interact with Valiant this time around. Obviously, thank you so much for coming to the panel. As a thank you, there's a little something that Dinesh wants to talk about, but we have these that we did for one of our conventions, and we've gotten I keep getting questions about how you can buy them. The answer is we only sell them at conventions, but we don't have a booth, right? So we're going to be selling them in the back, $15 each or 2 for $25. Also, tomorrow we're going to be sponsoring the CBLDF's booth for a few hours. These gentlemen here will be signing, along with Dwayne, be signing from Bloodshot. And we're going to, all the proceeds of that signing, all those signings will go to the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund. And if you're not familiar with the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund, they are a charity that is, they're the people who step in when people in our industry are under attack by censors. And they have, over the years, kept a lot of people out of jail just for liking comics, for making comics. So, and I've actually been involved with changing the way that our laws and even our Constitution are written. So they are really great people, and we're happy to support them. In fact, we also have a piece up in their art auction, their art auction tomorrow night. Mr. Dinesh Shamdasani was so nice as to go into his incredible archive of Valiant stuff and pull out a, who was the...
Bloodshot, Norm for Bloodshot.
Yes, it's a colored, hand-colored piece was a cover. They're going to be auctioning that off. I encourage you all to come to the auction and bid it very high. Very, very high. Very, very high. In fact, anything you don't spend today on these blank covers, which is the Harbinger is on one side, Harbinger #1, X-O on the other. It's a flip book. Once again, thank you to Gabe for getting this right. I appreciate that.
Everything else Gabe printed
is a convention sketch cover, so you can take this out to Artist Alley and actually get your own covers made, which we absolutely want to see. So make sure you tweet them and show us those pictures. Am I missing anything else? Oh, what is that?
Whoa. Valiant has an organization of passionate fans, celebrating passionate fans. We want to continue that. We created this. Everyone can get a copy. It's a gold copy. It's X-O #1. We're going to go up next week for the Wounded Warriors. We're going to do them a charity. In addition, we're going to bring back the program where if you support us, we'll support you. We'll be doing this, among other things, that we detail to follow soon. But thank you so much for having us. Thank you for supporting us. Can we get you?
Hey, wait a minute. You guys applauded so much. There are a lot of the Valiant to your team. Can you guys just for a moment, just let us give you a round? Thank you guys have made it happen.
All right, that is it. Thank you everybody for coming, obviously. And in the back will be the sketch covers and poems.